Good afternoon and welcome to This Is Now. First today, police have uncovered a connection between the two suspects in the recent chemical attacks in Honolulu.
They believe Paul Cameron and Sebastian McQuan shared a cell at OCCC and conspired for a second attack. Here's what HPD said in a news conference Tuesday afternoon.
An Oahu grand jury indicted Paul Cameron and Sebastian McQuan in an alleged murder-for-hire plot. We did our own inquiry, knowing that this type of attack wasn't a common type of thing. So we checked to see if they shared a module. And then they assisted us giving us that information, and it went from there.
Police believe the reason of all of this was to shift focus from Cameron as a suspect in the Mililani case, and in exchange, he would bail out McQuan. They haven't had a chance to talk with the suspects, police said, and are still investigating exactly how the sulfuric acid was obtained. And as the investigation that revealed the connection from within jail walls continues, one of the victims weighed in, saying it shows how manipulative Cameron was. Our Jolani Martinez reports.
HPD says Paul Cameron befriended Sebastian McQuan here at OCCC. Investigators linked the men after recovering notes that gave detailed instructions for a chemical attack, where to get acid, and what to tell police. January 23rd, McQuan allegedly threw sulfuric acid at Dang Ying Zhang near Ala Moana Center. Authorities say just a day before, he was in jail for assault and drug possession. That's where he allegedly met Cameron months earlier, and they became romantically involved.
Cameron instructed McQuan on how to carry out an acid attack on a random person. The purpose of the random attack was to cast doubt on Cameron as a suspect in the Mililani attack. In exchange, Cameron arranged for bail for McQuan so that McQuan could be released from OCCC.
Police say Cameron arranged with his mother to get McQuan bailed out, using his motorcycle as collateral. Will Cameron's mother be charged with anything?
There's no charges for his mom right now at this point.
Cameron was already charged with attempted murder for allegedly throwing acid on Davina Licon in Mililani last April.
And I know Paul is a very manipulative and impulsive liar.
Licon, who suffered severe burns and completed physical therapy just last week, says Cameron attacked her because she wouldn't date him. She was shocked that police linked him to the second acid attack.
It really speaks to his character, what type of person he is. Shows that he has no remorse and that he would do anything, take anybody's life just to get what he wants. Because he's a monster, and they should not let him back out into the streets because he's a danger to the community.
The Chinese language teacher who was burned in the second attack is still hospitalized and is undergoing skin graft surgeries. A parent whose daughter was her student says she still asks about her.
Told her that she's sick, so she's staying in the hospital right now, so she couldn't come to school.
It's just disturbing that there's people like that in Hawaii, and devising these kind of schemes. And like I said, we just need to watch out for each other and be vigilant.
An Oahu grand jury indicted the pair on 7 counts. Both are being held without bond. Reporting from OCCC, Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
There's a growing memorial at Iolani School to honor senior Sakurako Ora, one of the victims killed in Sunday's family tragedy in Manoa. We're told the 17-year-old ate her lunch at the senior benches. Meanwhile, police still haven't revealed a possible motive in the case. HPD said Paris Oda stabbed his wife and 3 children to death before taking his own life. Oda had recently settled a lawsuit over unpaid rent, but there are no signs of violence in his records. A former HPD deputy chief says there are no surviving victims or perpetrator, so some questions may never be answered.
I'd be surprised if they close a case without releasing a motive. They don't have to. And the motive may not be that clear unless there's something like a suicide note, something that really makes it clear, a text message, a phone message, something like that. It's going to be kind of difficult.
The idea that somehow or the other they so-called snapped, and then you just went in and started killing some people, Well, that may be the way that he experienced it, but it's most likely the end product of a long period of brooding. It's most likely associated with some kind of strong, powerful stress or distress in the family.
HPD is expected to issue a final report on the case, but that could take at least a year. In the wake of the tragedy, Hawaii's Child and Family Service is promoting its Parent Line as a resource for anyone looking for guidance in talking to children about the incident. On Oahu, the number is 808-526-1222. On neighbor islands, 1-800-816-1222.
Rozzy White has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. He was convicted for a metal water bottle attack that killed a downtown security guard, identified as Michael Stubbs, 2 years ago. Stubbs, a 58-year-old father of four, fell and hit his head and died more than a week later. White was originally charged with murder, but pleaded guilty to manslaughter. And now an update to that shooting in the Liliha area. HPD has arrested a 20-year-old man for attempted murder and gun crimes. He's suspected in the shooting at a game room. This is the second arrest in the case after four men allegedly barged into the building around 5:30 Sunday and shot two people, then took off in a silver sedan. Two other suspects are still on the run. You're asked to call Crime Stoppers with any tips. And on Hawaii Island, Austin Dasala Iriarte is jailed in Hilo for allegedly causing a crash that shut down the Wainaku Bridge indefinitely. Police say the 27-year-old slammed an SUV into a railing just after midnight on Tuesday, potentially undermining its structural integrity. Police say he fled the scene and later reported the vehicle stolen, but investigators determined that he was in fact the one driving. The bridge will be closed until it's inspected. Overnight, President Biden and former President Donald Trump officially clinched their party's nominations in their race for the White House. This comes after dramatic testimony Tuesday from the special counsel who investigated President Biden's mishandling of classified documents. Senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has more.
Overnight, President Biden and former President Trump officially clinched their party's nominations with primary victories in multiple states, setting up a high-stakes rematch in what's expected to be a bitter, costly, and lengthy general election campaign battle.
We're the official nominee of the Republican Party, which is a big deal.
It comes just hours after former special counsel Robert Hur was grilled on Capitol Hill.
We identified evidence that the president willfully retained classified materials after the end of his vice presidency. We did not, however, identify evidence that rose to the level of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Hur also defended his assessment that the president would present himself to a jury as an elderly man with a poor memory.
My assessment in the report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary and accurate and fair.
But Republicans slammed his decision not to prosecute.
Joe Biden broke the law. But because he's a forgetful old man who would appear sympathetic to a jury, Mr. Hur chose not to bring charges.
Democrats blasted him too for even mentioning the president's memory.
You understood when you made that decision, didn't you, Mr. Hur, that you would ignite a political firestorm with that language, didn't you?
Congressman, politics played no part whatsoever in my investigative steps.
The classified documents found in President Biden's old offices, his Delaware home, and his garage were all returned. Democrats say that's the main difference between his case and the one involving former President Trump, who's pleaded not guilty to criminal charges for allegedly enlisting others to destroy evidence. Hur pushed back, though, when Democrats claimed his report exonerated President Biden.
You exonerated him. You know that the term willful retention has a... Mr. Hur, it's my time.
The White House insists the report does clear the president.
The conclusion was simple, that there is no case here. The case is closed. It's time to move on.
A vote on Capitol Hill today places the future of TikTok in jeopardy, possibly impacting the 170 million Americans who use the popular app. Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
The rules are suspended. The bill is passed.
The House of Representatives voted Wednesday to require TikTok to separate from its China-based owner ByteDance or be banned from U.S. app stores in 6 months.
TikTok needs to decide whether they value their users or their ties to the Chinese Communist Party more.
Supporters of the bipartisan bill cited national security concerns, arguing the Chinese government could force ByteDance to hand over the data of its 170 million American users, something TikTok has long denied.
This is a life-changing app.
Ahead of the vote, the company mobilized TikTok influencers and others to fight the bill.
So many people, not only 5 million small businesses rely on it, but 170 million people rely on this app for more than just their livelihood. They rely on this app for their mental health.
One key hurdle could be former President Trump, who once threatened to ban TikTok but opposes this bill, saying it would shift too much influence to Facebook. President Biden has said he would sign the legislation if it reaches his desk. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
The state transportation director says he hopes to have speed enforcement cameras up and running as early as this summer. The House Transportation Committee unanimously approved a bill to give the speed cameras a test run in school and construction zones. Ed Sniffen asked the House to take the limits off the program. He says as soon as it's legal to give speeding tickets by mail, existing red light cameras will be used to catch speeders as well.
So you could see those impacts occurring very quickly. We would give the 60 days of education first, the 30 days of warning before we start citing in those areas. And we should see a marked decrease in speed, especially in the school zones areas, very, very quickly.
Sniffen also said noise cameras, which are being shipped to Hawaii now, could also be used for speed enforcement this year. If all details can be worked out by lawmakers, the citations would be issued to car owners, even if someone else is driving, and police officers would review each citation before it's issued.
Happening this Friday, it is the 104th annual Kamehameha School Song Contest. Our Mahealani Richardson kicks off our coverage.
Me kamaile o
Kamehameha Schools is honoring the music of Hawaii's falsetto poet, Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln, with his vintage recordings from the 30s to the 70s.
Uncle was truly a prolific songwriter himself, and a lot of the things that he wrote was about his hometown.
Lorna Lim, a Kumuhula entertainer from Kohala, song contest judge and descendant of Lincoln, is especially grateful.
Just knowing that they're going to bring to life these songs that were written years and years ago and bring it to life in this time, in this era, is humbling, heartwarming.
Last month, Kamehameha teachers and students went on a huaka'i, a trip to Kohala, to visit with Lim and Kupuna in the Lincoln Ohana. They also saw the property in Honomaka'u, where Uncle Bill's family home once stood.
The trees, the puabi still is still there, and so you can almost imagine how Uncle saw the beauty of the place. But just to hear them honoring Uncle Bill brought tears to their eyes.
He had a lot of aloha and, pride for his island of Hawaii, Mokokeawe. So you can see that in all of the mele that he wrote.
Kahanuola Solatorio, Hawaiian language kumu, says Lincoln inspires him with his own music.
Uncle Bill has a really specific style, and he sticks to the traditional two-line hula song mele. Yeah, you see a lot of his mele that you're going to see in song contest, just traditional hula songs.
Auntie taught us to do the motion like the kalako. Just that song, it was a song that every girl wanted to dance.
Yeah. Lincoln's music takes people back to a different era, and his extended ohana is proud that it's celebrated today.
And playing a very special role in this year's song contest is our very own Mahealani Richardson, who will be one of the hosts of the evening. Aloha, Mahea. How you doing?
Aloha.
Tell us all about song contest, what they got working for us.
Oh, well, this is the season, and so it's just a few more days of rehearsals. As you know, Dylan, Kamehameha Schools, the entire schedule from the 9th grade to the 12th grade is basically changed so that the students can rehearse for song contest. The 104th annual Kamehameha School Song Contest, and everyone is so excited to really perpetuate and celebrate the music of Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln, Hawaii's falsetto poet.
Expand that theme for us for a little bit. Sounds like a very influential figure in the Hawaiian music community.
Absolutely. His songs were recorded from the 1930s to the 1970s, but his musical career spanned almost 8 decades. And so the musicians of today are still singing his music, and it's really amazing for the students because many of them get to learn about his music and his mele. And Dylan, you're going to love this. The songs are very recognizable. Moku o Keawe is one of them. These are just traditional hula songs. And what was the interesting thing is for the kumu at Kamehameha schools, they had to take these traditional hula songs and make them into choral arrangements, very difficult choral arrangements. And so some of those men of Kamehameha schools will be singing falsetto, and we'll see if they can do it. I bet you they will.
I am so looking forward to it. Now, you've been previewing all of the classes and their practices. Can you give us any hints, any strong classes out in front?
Well, of course, the seniors are going to have to give it their best. I mean, there is so much riding on the seniors, and I listened to their co-ed, and wow. The men sound like men. The women sound like women. But also the sophomores are really good, and they are determined to make sure that they don't fall to that sophomore curse. I mean, it is something at Kamehameha schools, the sophomore curse. You know, it's one of those in-between classes. You don't have the excitement of the freshmen, and then you don't have the experience of the juniors and the seniors. And so those sophomores are determined to give it their best. And so I can't wait to see and hear all of the classes come Song Contest night.
And not to mention also for the sophomores, this is the first time they're performing for Kane and Wahine. The freshmen, they only do the co-ed. So coming into this year, they have a little bit more pressure on them to step up their individual game there, so to speak. Real quickly, can you also give us a little preview into Ho'ike? What's that going to look like?
Well, it is the music of Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln, Nohono a Ho'omana'o A'e. And I have not seen it, but let me guess, because his music spans so many decades, it's really going to take you on a journey. 1930s to 1970s and beyond, we're going to see a transformation of the decades and the styles. And Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln's music is really about Hawaii Island, his home of Kohala. So he talks about the wind, the pua, the smells, the horses. We might go on a little huaka'i to Kohala, so it's going to take you on a journey.
And speaking of pua, the pua lei that you're wearing, the pua kenikeni, smells so fragrant here in the H&N Digital Center. Our Mahealani Richardson, who again will be one of the hosts at this year's 104th annual Kamehameha School Song Contest. You can catch all of the fun on K5. The pre-show begins at 7 o'clock with the competition to follow. Mahalo, Mahea.
To weather now, we have an upcoming front that could impact conditions around the state. Drew Davis has more on what we can expect.
We're tracking a cold front here in Hawaii. Wait a second. A cold front? Okay, we're experiencing a relatively dynamic weather pattern across the state this week. With weaker winds like we've been experiencing, the moisture across the state isn't blown away as easily, so humidity is on the rise. We're also experiencing an overall southeasterly wind flow, which the Big Island is blocking those southeast winds, so the rest of the island chain is experiencing more variable winds. When the winds are blocked by Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea, you typically see more sea breeze shower activity across the rest of the island chain. Daytime heating from the sun in the early afternoon can lead to some isolated pop-up thunderstorms across the state, like we saw on the North Shore earlier today. The National Weather Service issued a flood advisory in the early afternoon hours, and we could see this pattern on Wednesday as well. And by the time we get to Wednesday evening, winds will be out of the north. We're tracking a cold front that's going to be approaching from the northwest, moving across the state Wednesday evening into Friday. Showers are possible statewide as it moves across, but there's still some model disagreement we're figuring out in our forecast. As of now, we're expecting the heaviest rainfall to be focused over the eastern half of the state. The drier air filtering in behind the cold front will keep Kauai and Oahu a little bit drier. Right now, we're expecting high temperatures to settle into the upper 70s.
Thank you so much, Drew. Let's take a live look outside now with our tower cam over Honolulu. Lots clouds in the sky, 78 degrees, looking over Punch Bowl. Guy Hoggy's going to have more on your forecast for the rest of the week and going into the weekend after this quick break.
How's it on this Wednesday? A weak cold front is moving through the state. Look for increasing showers, clouds through the day today, and then through tomorrow, even Friday, some of that moisture will linger around the east end of the state, while clearer skies come over Kauai and Oahu by tonight. So there are those clouds, those showers. These are ahead of the front. There'll be more clouds and showers later on in the day, but we're not expecting a washout. It's a pretty weak front. Now, the winds will be weak as well. We're talking statewide, they'll be variable today. And because of that, in addition to the clouds and showers from the front, we'll likely see some spotty pop-up showers late in the afternoon, similar to what we had yesterday here on Oahu. But widespread rain not really expected from those pop-up showers, mostly from that front as it moves through. So again, more clouds, more showers today as that front moves through. We got more surf on the way for tomorrow, but for today, the swells are dropping pretty much island-wide. But an extra large swell is expected late tomorrow, going to peak on Friday with a warning level wave heights. So be ready for an onslaught of big waves because there's more swells beyond that. So we've got that weak front. So we're highlighting today and tomorrow. First alert for the increasing clouds and showers for statewide today, mainly for the east end of the state tomorrow, while Kauai and Oahu see drier conditions by tomorrow. And then drier conditions move in behind the front for the weekend. Also, get ready for some cooler overnight temperatures once that front moves through.
Well, come next month, Vermont will be one of these states in the path of totality during the Great Eclipse. For many people, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but that's not the case for everyone. Jack Thurston introduces us to a woman who remembers the last time this happened more than 90 years ago.
August 31st, 1932.
It was a party.
100-year-old Marguerite Smirsky was 8.
We went right in back of the house on the hill, and that's where we watched from.
Her family's home in Derby, Vermont sat right in the path of totality for that year's hotly anticipated solar eclipse.
I remember it's getting dark, but not for long.
Relatives came from nearby Rock Island, just over the Canadian border, so they could all watch together.
It was food preparation and all that stuff, so that we'd have a picnic on the hill.
But they didn't have any protective eclipse viewing glasses like these, which were available at the time, so her uncle got creative.
They had a warning that you do not look at the eclipse without having some eye covering. So they took pieces of glass from probably broken windows. And then they would burn a candle or something so that you would have like sort of soot on the glass that made it dark. So that's what we were looking through, a piece of glass that had been blackened by soot.
And it worked.
Evidently, I'm here. I have eyes.
All in all, Marguerite remembers it as a cool day spent with people she loved. So with excitement now growing for April 8th, she plans to enjoy the spectacle again. A twice in her lifetime total eclipse for this Vermont centenarian. But a third? Probably not, she jokes.
Thank you very much. I'll watch you from up there.
All right, the results are in, you guys. After weeks of voting, the Honolulu Zoo has been voted the 4th best zoo in the country in the prestigious 2024 USA Today 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards. Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi called it a wonderful accomplishment. So a panel of industry experts and editors selected the Honolulu Zoo as one of America's top 20 zoos to be in the running for best zoo in the country. The public then had 28 days to vote for their favorite zoo. So the top 10 zoos in the nation include number 1, Omaha's Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. Number 2, Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. Number 3, North Carolina Zoo. The Honolulu Zoo is 4th. And if you're wondering, the San Diego Zoo, which is very popular, they placed number 8.
How awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them.